corner to the world.
And that's the title of the live event we're digging into today. It featured a moderator, Michael, and the main speaker, Professor Alice.
Alice has a really fascinating background. She started out as a high school chemistry teacher in Taiwan, then got her PhD, and eventually landed this high-stakes postdoc at Stanford.
Right. So she's seen it all, the teaching, the studying, the high-pressure research. And a lot of this talk was about that journey, especially the huge culture shock she felt moving from Asia to the U.S. for work.
That part really stood out to me, the way she described how dedication looks so different in those two places.
It's completely different. She talks about the work style in Taiwan as being all about royalty.
Royalty, you mean loyalty, right?
She did, yeah, but royalty is almost more fitting. She explained this culture of FaceTime, where you stay late just to show you're part of the team, even if you're not working.
Just performing solidarity.
Exactly. She said her grad students in Asia moved like a herd. They'd all go to lunch together, get snacks together, even go to the bathroom in packs.
Wow. That sounds kind of exhausting. Like you can never really be alone with your thoughts.
And that's what hit her so hard at Stanford. She walked into this culture of what she calls professional distance.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
It means nobody really cares if you're best friends. You come in, you start your experiment right away, you grab a quick lunch, you get back to work, and at 5 o'clock, you're gone.
That sounds really efficient, but maybe a little isolating. I mean, don't you need those casual conversations for innovation to happen?
You'd think so, but Alice argues that in these, super high-stakes labs, that distance is actually a shield. It's protective.
How so?
Well, if you're all emotionally tangled up, a failed experiment feels like a personal failure. You feel like you let the whole family down.
Ah, okay. So professional distance isn't about being unfriendly.
No, it's about survival. It lets you separate who you are from your results. A bad data point is just a data point. It's not a judgment on your worth.
That objectivity is key.
And that idea leads right into her biggest piece of advice for people just starting their careers. You have to stop thinking like a learner.
That is such a tough switch to flip, though. For 20 years, you're trained to ask the teacher, what do I do next?
Right, and she says that's the trap. The moment you walk into your manager's office, you're not a student anymore. You're a consultant pitching a client. You should never, ever walk in there without an option A, an option B, and an option C ready to go.
So you're not there for answers. You're there to discuss solutions you've already thought of. That's a huge psychological shift.
It is. It changes the entire power dynamic. She calls it faking it. But it's really about signaling that you're a professional, a peer, and it forces them to treat you like one.
And boy, did she have to put that to the test.
Oh, this story is it's intense. So she's in her second year at Stanford. Her fellowship suddenly disappears. Then her PI, her boss, takes a job in Hong Kong, and the lab is shutting down.
That is the ultimate nightmare. You're in a foreign country, your income is gone, and rent in Palo Alto is...
It's not cheap. No. And for most people, there were only two ways out. Option 1, give up, go home. Option 2, take some lower-level job somewhere else just to survive.
But she found a third way.
She just refused to accept those two choices. She created her own option 3. She looked around and saw, okay, the chemistry department is broke, they can't help, but the medical school labs, they're loaded, they have all the grant money.
So she just followed the money.
She hustled. She interviewed with 3 different professors over in the med school, pitched her skills, and got one of them to fund half her salary. Then she went back and convinced the chemistry department to cover the other half. She literally stitched a job together.
That's incredible. But it's also so risky. You're essentially working for 2 different bosses at the same time.
It was grueling. She said she was working weekends, late nights, basically living at the lab to prove her worth to both departments. And this is why she says finding a role model is so important.
Because no one else was doing what she was doing.
Exactly. She was totally off the map. So she found this female professor who had made a similar big career move and just studied her path obsessively. She didn't have a mentor. She had a pattern to follow.
And that helped her set concrete goals.
Yes, very specific short-term goals, 1 to 3 years out. She says long-term goals are just directions because life throws you curveballs.
Which brings us back to the cost of that option 3. She made it work, but it sounds like it came at a huge price.
She calls that period surviving, not living. She gave up almost all of her free time to make it happen.
It's a pretty powerful reminder, isn't it? We all love hearing the success story, but we forget about the weekends and the late nights that went into it.
It really leaves you with a final thought. When you're looking at your own goals, how much of your life are you actually willing to trade?
How much of that leisure time are you willing to sacrifice to make a short-term goal your reality? Something to think about. Thanks for listening.